Like, what happened?
Oh man, I'm gonna be blunt out honest. So this because the transition happened after I got baptized.
Okay, so
Literally,
before you go into that, let's get to the baptized then, because we don't want to skip parts.
yeah,
So you end up getting baptized while you're living a homosexual life, and then you transitioned.
no, I got baptized and stopped my homosexual life. Like stopped it till cold turkey for a really long time.
And what was that like? Because okay, so we have a break in between. So you
Yeah.
stopped at cold turkey. But what was that like as you started living as a woman? Did you feel comfortable with men? Did it feel natural? Like, what was that like?
I felt comfortable. I just so it was just all bad for me, honestly, because I never really had like a guidance. Like, and it's not saying like it's not also that I didn't look for it. I didn't know how to look for it, and I didn't know what. Like I just knew, all right, boom, I'm a female. I accept that I'm supposed to live right, and I want to be saved by Jesus Christ. So I know the first step is to start dressing as a woman. So I knew that that was well, also repenting and not being with a female. That was set in stone, and then I started dressing like a woman.
Okay, so
Um,
now you're dressing like a woman.
yeah,
You're now involved with men. You're living your life. You're saved. You're sanctified. Everything is going great. Like, you
yeah.
walking in your truth. What happened that you went from, as y'all see the picture behind her, she went from that to that. After you have been saved, sanctified, baptized, you come to the truth. What happened?
Um, well, all right. So it was a lot. I think it was a lot of like spiritual battle. I didn't understand like spiritual warfare. I didn't understand spiritual warfare because now that I think back on it, I'm gonna tell you Psalms. I'm gonna tell you right now. Hold on.
Take your time.
All right, Psalm 73:26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." So I wanted to say that because my flesh just totally fell. Like I began to not want to dress too girly anymore, but I would still do my hair, but then I was kind of reverting back, but not realizing I was reverting back. And I didn't know it was like literally the enemy literally just creeped in. And it was like a few years later, like 3 years. So now I'm like, I'm cool, I'm calm, collective. I'm like, cool. I love being a Christian. I love being this way and seeking God. But it was like I was slowly changing and I didn't even realize it. So, so that was like the first step. And then, I met someone while trying to tell them about the gospel. And that person
Mm.
ended up being married to a woman.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down real quick. Wait a minute. So you were in the faith. You're a Christian now. You following Christ.
Mhm.
You do see yourself slowly. Now that you look back, you see yourself slowly starting to change the way you dress and stuff like that. Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you
Well,
go
the
to
desires
minister,
wasn't there though. The desires was totally not there.
but you were still doing little things like you didn't want to dress as girly, or like you saw little things happening where you're trying to transition, but you didn't realize it. Then
Hmm.
all of a sudden you go to minister to a female,
Yeah.
actually, share the truth that you were given, and
Hmm.
you end up marrying her. Tell us about that story.
No, I didn't marry her. She was already married.
Oh, this was a married woman.
Yes. She was married to another woman. Yeah, she was in a homosexual marriage.
So let me ask you a question. What do you advise to other people who do you think that if you would have never been around that, or do you think just being exposed to it, being near it is why, or do you think that, I don't know, like what happened that you think happened that led you to that point?
So again, I didn't know too much about spiritual warfare. So like where I was weak, I didn't know I was still weak because the desires wasn't there.
So you thought you had it.
Yeah, because I had been around my ex that I had been around, and I used to tell her about the gospel. And I had been around her after a couple of years after being in the gospel, and she was still, and I was like, hey, I'm all for Christ. Like, I'm so good, this is the way I am. And so by me denying that, and I knew what we had, I was like, oh, cool. Like, God has given me the strength. I'm good. And then I felt strengthened, and it was like, I don't know if it was like the Lord, but it was like a light that just shined on my weakness. And then it was just like, boom. I was like,
Got
oh.
you.
Yeah, it was like I didn't even know that weakness was still there because I had denied it so many times throughout the 3 years. And so I ended up meeting somebody that was already in a homosexual marriage, and who also ended up receiving the gospel and trying to leave their situation. But it just got really confusing, honestly, because the enemy is just like, it was like really, really big, but it was also my shortcoming because I was weak and I didn't understand. I would say, like, and that's another thing I repented of, because I fell short. I came short, and that was the beginning of me coming short of the glory of God, of just like falling, and stumbling over my weakness. So probably like a year after that, now I'm in the military.
This is
Obama.
where the transition took place.
Yeah, this is when the transition took place. So Obama opens up same-sex marriage, and military personnel can transition, and it's broadcast everywhere. And honestly, if that didn't happen, I really wouldn't have cared for it. I think it was just so much in our ears. It was just like, what's this? And then, I was already struggling and dealing with my own spiritual battles and knowing what's right. But like Paul says, like, the spirit wars with the flesh daily so that we may not do what we want to do. Like, we want to do what's right, but we do what's wrong. And then it's like, it's a battle. So it was like, I was going through that spiritual battle all the way up until I actually started transitioning.
So I want to get into the transition, but Zadog, BA, you guys want to ask the sisters anything, any questions about what she said so far? Any comments on that? Remember, she said she want a dialogue. She want to hear from the people.
Yep. Hey, as soon as I get the kids in the car, I'll be right on mic.
All right, BA, you want to add anything to what the sister said about she got saved and sanctified? She said, I'm strong. I got this. I got this. Everybody gets saved with me. She was like, I got this. I got this under control. And she said Satan was like, I found a little twinkle. Like, I found a little weakness. And he just grabbed a hold of that and twisted it.
We have to be battle tested. It reminds me of Yeshua. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
And when he was in the wilderness, fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, and that whole time Satan is trying him, testing him, pestering him. So we have to understand that the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. So even Christ, in his divinity, being divine, being perfect, being the image of God, coming from God as well, him being in the flesh, he was in his fleshly body, and there were things that came upon him. So he had to separate himself, and he had to meditate and pray and get intimate with the Most High. And I think that's all of us. We have to go through that as well, because we're not divine at all. We're actually flesh. We come from flesh. You know what I'm saying? Christ didn't come from flesh. He came from the Father through flesh. There's a difference. But even him being in the flesh, he had urges and things that he had to deal with as well. So that's why Christ, we can relate in a sense. I mean, he can relate to us. He understands. So as believers, like I said earlier, we tend to forget. We get so pious, we get so deep into this ideology and these different doctrines that we forget that we are human beings, and we get to sniffing ourselves a little too much and we forget. So and we have to be brought back to earth. Like an OG said to me years ago, you walk on the water, BA, I'm gonna bring you back to dry land. So um so overall, and it takes courage for you to even realize that you as an individual, yeah, you felt good, you felt rejuvenated. Okay, the Most High dealing with me, and all of a sudden you get out there in the streets, or you get out there in the world, you're living, you're doing your thing, and you're testifying the word, and all of a sudden, that's needed to be a reminder. It's a reminder to remind you where you came from, and that you must continuously pursue the narrow path which will lead to salvation. Hey, I'm not perfect at all. I got a story as well. So you're not alone in this. You're not alone. You're a human being. So with that, I'm gonna just say that I'm allowed the elder to go ahead and speak if he's
Well,
available.
yeah, let me get to Black Jesus Minister real quick. Black Jesus Minister, you want to comment, question? You want to say anything about her story so far, her testimony?
Yes, I would. Thank you all very much for inviting me to the platform. And I would like to say that this is a very, very powerful testimony, and a very powerful, don't want to call it a show, but a testimony. I'm reminded that the word of God says that we overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, number one, and by the word of our testimony. And that has taught me that our testimony is our continual victory and our continual strength to overcome our past and to overcome our sins on well into the future. So I would like to say to the guest, dear sister, continue to share your testimony, continue to speak your testimony, because that will strengthen you and give you the authority and the spiritual knowledge and power to minister to others who have likewise fallen into these type of situations. Sin is sin. And yes, there's different levels to it, but sin is still sin. And I want to thank you for what you're doing. And I thank you for your testimony. My question to you is, since you say that you were unaware of spiritual warfare or spiritual implementations, and I'm using that word, when you tried to witness to this other female who was married, and then you fell into a relationship with her, have you since then come into any knowledge or to knowledge about what should be done or what cautions should be taken if you've come out of a situation such as this, before you want to minister to another person in the same situation? Have you come to any conclusions that you could share with others who might likewise want to minister to someone who's come out of the same situation?
Thank you for your response, brothers. Certainly, I would say my response now, what God has given me now, is to be very, very vigilant. I think that's why the scriptures tells us to be sober minded and be very vigilant of our surroundings and the things that we're going through. And not saying I wasn't sober minded at the time, but I want to say to be, so I did like tactical force in the military. So before you go into a building, they kind of give you a gist of maybe how many people might be in that building that you got to clear out, or how many hostages might be in that building. So when you come in contact with somebody, or you're thinking about telling them about the gospel, I think like putting in your mind already, like, basically how can you rebuke the enemy in advance of, if it's about lust, or if it's anything of that matter of crossing the boundary of just speaking the gospel. So that, I mean, because I've dealt with it recently. You know, it got to a point when I was restored, and I started detransitioning. I said, you know what, Lord, I don't even have the courage to like go out and evangelize anymore. Like that's what I used to love doing that, and I was like, I don't want to do it anymore because I don't want to come short. But I believe that God, the Lord has shown me like to not be afraid and to still tell people about him and tell people about the gospel. It's just when I come across those things to remember that I love him more than my shortcomings, more than my weakness. So it's like, you know what? No, I love the Lord more. So now I mean, before I love the Lord more now, but now I can actually put it in my mind and know that this is how I feel. And nothing is going to come in between it. I'm not letting anything come in between that. So that's kind of like where I am mentally with that. Even if I spoke to somebody who was homosexual or anybody who's they might be the opposite sex, and you're trying to tell them about the gospel, and they keep kind of like going away from the gospel and speaking about other things that might be lustful. So you kind of just rebuke it in your mind, and then to know that you love God and Christ more than what you're encountering. That's how I mean.
Thank you.
Thank you.